Hi everyone. Now we are going to discuss about food preservative methods. Preservation of food. What is the meaning of preservation? Preservation means how to store the food. Maybe cooked food or raw food. How to storage of food. Food is very important. Nowadays everybody is using which type of food materials means food, which is a packed food materials. Most of the foreigners are, even in India also, most of them are using packed food materials. That means needs to store in proper way. We need to take proper precautions to store the food materials. That is very important. Without storing in proper way, if you do not take any precautions to store the food materials, whatever food material within short time it will be spoiled. What are the reasons of spoilage of food materials? The reasons of spoilage of food materials, the reasons especially why food materials are spoiled, spoilage of food materials. Generally, in food materials, whatever food materials is there, in that food material, even especially first of all we have to discuss cooked food materials. In cooked food materials, what will be happen? Automatically, even if you store more than one day, maybe few hours, microorganisms are growing in that. Microorganisms are growing in that food materials. These microorganisms are releasing some chemicals which are toxic chemicals, which are poisonous materials are releasing into the food materials. These microorganisms are growing in food materials, whatever stored food materials, and these microorganisms are releasing some chemical, toxic, poisonous material in that food material, so that it's turned into poisonous. What type of microorganisms are cause of food poisoning? Okay, it's food spoiled. One is bacteria, so many types of bacteria, and fungus. Okay, example, yeast is also fungus, unicellular fungus. It is also cause of what? Spoilage of food materials. Mostly bacteria and fungus, these two are the reason of what? Especially for spoilage of food materials, whatever may be cooked or raw food materials. These are grown in food item, and also automatically they're releasing some poisonous materials, and they're releasing some gases like carbon dioxide. These gases and chemicals are poisonous chemicals are the cause of spoilage of food materials. Okay, that is very important. Now we are going to what we have to discuss. Now we have to discuss about how to preserve, how to store. What are the methods we are using? What are the various methods we are using? The food preservative methods. Nothing but we can call food preservative method. How food is preserved. Generally nowadays, even who are living in urban areas, even rural areas also, they are using, especially for packed food item, even chicken, whatever is there, non-veg or vegetarian, even fruits also transport, import and export from other countries in their countries, even fish also they are exporting, importing, and from different countries. How it possible? How these food items, especially for fishes and other fruits and sometimes chicken, mutton, or anything, whatever is there, will meat, how it is possible to store more than one day? That means they are using some method to store that food material. What they are doing, are you observe or not? Especially for how they transport what fishes or meat, flesh, or anything, how they transport one area to another area, one country to another area. They're using some boxing, canning also one method of what? Preservative method. They are using sealed boxes. That boxes are not allows what? Air, so that There are covered everything, sealed boxes there are. Especially thermocol boxes. Fishes are how they transport the fishes one place to another. They use what thermocol, what boxes. Ice also they kept inside the box what ice, and they covered with fishes covered with ice. So that they are sending one place to another place. There are so many methods they are using for preservative. Okay, we are importing so many other countries jam, food material, KFC, example only, some example, KFC chicken and everything. How it possible means what? They are adding into that food item, maybe chicken or whatever is there. They are adding in that food item, they are adding some chemicals, preservatives, chemicals for storage of long time. Okay, the methods they are using, so many methods they are using for storage. They are adding some chemicals so that especially for packing, whatever packing foods, in that adding this for storage they are adding some chemicals. Okay, so that now we are going to discuss about what? Food preservative methods. What are that methods? Chemical method. That means they are adding some chemical to the food items. What are type of chemicals they are adding? Generally, what we are adding? Salt. Salt is also one type of sodium chloride, one type of chemical, and edible oils. Pickles. Pickle, we are adding some oil, salts. Okay, and also not only that one, with salt, they are adding some chemicals, especially for sodium benzoate and sodium metabisulfate. Sodium metabisulfate. These chemicals are also useful for storage of food materials. Not only edible oils, whatever oils we are using, oil also useful for storage of food material. If you cook the food, any food item using with oil, it will be stored maybe 1 or 2 days. If you use only oil. Okay, even salt is also useful as a one type of chemicals, and sodium benzoate and sodium metabisulfate. These are the chemicals are useful to store the food materials, packing or store food materials or pickles, whatever is the cooked and raw food materials. And also what? Adding salt. Preservative method. What is the use of adding salt? That is very, very important. Why we are adding salt? Adding salt, one of the important preservative method. Salt. Actually, why we are adding salt? Why? Salt is useful as a preservative. How it is useful as a preservative? Which one? Salt. How it is useful as a preservative? For example, if you store the food material or any cooked or raw food material or cooked food material, what will be happen actually? Automatically microorganisms are growing. If you add, for example, this is the food material, in that microorganisms are grown. If you added salt to that food item, what will be happen? Microorganism, whatever moisture, whatever wet is there, the salt absorb the wet or moisture. Exo Osmosis. You can't understood? Exo Osmosis. What is the meaning of exo osmosis? Whatever water content is there inside the body of microorganisms are absorbed by salt. Salt absorb whatever water content is there inside the microorganism, it absorbs everything. So that microorganisms will be die. Try to understand. For example, this is a microorganism. In that microorganism, whatever water content is there, it is absorbed by salt. Salt absorbs everything, whatever moisture, water content. What will be happen? It will dry and it will be die. Which is die? Microorganisms. To remove moisture, to remove water content, to remove water in microorganisms body, we are adding what? Salt. Salt is also one of the good example of preservative. Okay, what is the meaning of preservative? Means which is useful for storage. Which materials are useful for storage? Okay, and also what drying, especially for drying, that is also very important. What is the meaning of okay? Sometimes what fishes dry, especially for dry fishes, we are keeping in outside some materials in the presence of sunlight. Why? Because the sunlight absorbs whatever moisture, whatever wet content, whatever water content in that food material, everything is evaporated. It is absorbed by sunlight. So the drying is also one type of one good method of what preservation. Okay, and also next one is adding sugar and honey in some food material. Honey also they are adding. Even sugar is also one of the solution to store, especially jams, and especially some type of what fruit salads, some type of fruit pieces. Even fruit pieces also available nowadays in supermarkets. Even how they store, they are adding sugar into that, and also so many food materials are storing by adding what sugar solution. Okay, this sugar solution also what it is not it is not, if you add sugar, it is not growing what microorganisms in that food materials. Okay, the sugar solution is also useful to show sugar, not only sugar, even honey also. Okay, anyway, okay, and in our home generally what we are observed, our mother whatever prepared food is there, okay, she prepared food, the food is remaining food material, okay, remaining food material, she storage in fridge or refrigerators. Why she storing in refrigerator or fridge? Why? Because in fridge and in refrigerator the temperature is very low, so that in that low temperature, whatever less temperature, these microorganisms are not growing in that temperature. So that okay, in our homes, the most of the food materials, most of the types of food material we are storing in fridge, we are storing in refrigerator. Why? Because in refrigerator temperature levels are very low. In that low level of temperature, the microorganisms are not growing. That is also one method of preservation. And oils and vinegar. Vinegar, what is vinegar? Acetic acid. Acetic acid. The vinegar and oils also useful as a what storage of food materials as a preservative method to preserve the food material using oils and vinegars also. Okay, and okay, chemical methods, edible oils, salts, sodium benzoate, sodium metabisulfate, salts, drying, canning, import and export, oil, vinegar, sugar, refrigeration. Refrigerators also useful as a preservative methods, and also pasteurization, very important. What is the meaning of pasteurization? Okay, if you observe in and milk packets, on milk packet pasteurized milk, we will observe sometimes at their road there are writing on the milk packet pasteurized milk. What is the pasteurized milk? Why they wrote like that? The pasteurized milk, the process of pasteurization proposed by Louis Pasteur, the scientist name Louis Pasteur. He proposed the theory of pasteurization, method of pasteurization. Louis Pasteur, the scientist name. Especially as for pasteurization, especially useful to kill the microorganisms. This pasteurization method useful to kill the microorganisms in a milk. In milk. The pasteurization method is useful to kill or germs, whatever microorganisms or germs, it is useful to kill in milk. How? In the process of pasteurization, what they are doing? In the process of pasteurization, they are heating. What they are heating? Milk up to 70 degrees centigrade. 70 degrees centigrade. And they reduce the temperature of the milk at a time within 10 seconds. They reduce the temperature of milk at a time. They reduce 10 degrees centigrade. They increase the temperature of the milk by using some machines. They increase the temperature of the milk up to 70 to 75 degrees centigrade. They reduce the at a time. They reduce the temperature 10 degrees centigrade. What will be happen? Increasing and decreasing of the temperatures. What will be happen? Whatever microorganisms is there in that milk, everything will be die. So that increasing the temperature up to 70 degrees centigrade, decreasing the temperature up to 10 degrees centigrade, what will be happen? Within short term, whatever microorganisms is there in that milk, everything will be die. Okay, so that the pasteurization method is also useful. One of the useful for kill the germs in a milk. Okay, and next one, how can the spoilage in food? Okay, how can you observe this food is spoiled or not? How we will identify the food is spoiled or not? Which is spoiled food, it gives some bad odor, I mean smell, foul smell. It gives very foul smell, bad smell. And also whatever microorganisms is there, these microorganisms are releasing some chemicals in that. And soaring, it forms a sore. It forms a layer, fungus. For whatever spoiled food, if you observe the spoiled food, okay, it forms a layer, it forms some chemical like soaring, it releasing some toxic materials. If you eat that spoiled food, it cause of illness and sometimes it cause of death also. Very important. If you eat what spoiled food, it cause of illness, it's cause of what? Indigestion and also some type of vomiting, motions and that type of problems, and sometimes cause of what? Death also. So that don't take what? Spoiled food, storage food. And these methods are useful for storage of food materials. Okay, thank you.